What do guys who have never had to play in a game like this have to know about playing in a game like this?
Yeah, I think you can't make it bigger than what it really is. You know, the things that win you games in the regular season are the same thing that win you games in the postseason, and really the same things that lose you games in the regular season are the things that lose you games in the postseason. And it's not some mind-blowing saying or anything. It's not earth-shattering. But the messaging that DQ has done from the beginning of the season has been phenomenal. That every week that we partake in is championship week, and so our process of winning has continued on from week one, and it's evolved over the weeks. But the same things that got us to 12-5 in the regular season with the opportunity to be in the playoffs are the same things that we need to approach this game with. And you can't go out there and try and be Superman or put your cape on. You got to go out there and play really good football for 4 quarters and eliminate as many mistakes as possible. And ultimately it comes down to who's going to make the most plays. And I got a lot of confidence in the guys, but you can't go out there and try and do something that you haven't done the past 20 weeks or so.
I know this is not a new question for you, but you're going back to a place you've been in you played at for many years. How do you kind of compartmentalize that with knowing what the task at hand is, what the goal at hand is on Sunday?
Yeah, I think being able to go back there early in the season for the first time as an opponent got a lot of the emotions out of the way, per se. It's not going to be the first time seeing people that I hadn't seen in a long time. And so for me, I understand the environment it's going to be. I understand how I'm going to be receptive this time versus last time, probably, because they got a lot at stake as well. Everyone knows how I feel about that building, the people in that building, the people in that community. Our foundation is still doing work out there for a reason. But at the same time, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that we're giving ourselves a chance to win the football game. When the whistle blows, it's not going to be about the previous 9 years that I had there. It's going to be about trying to make as many plays for this team as possible, whether that's in the run game or the pass game. But I'm not going out there with the chip on my shoulder or trying to prove people X, Y, or Z. I'm just trying to go out there and be the best version of myself.
Zach, you obviously played with some good quarterbacks throughout your career. Going back to the spring with Jayden, and I know we talked about this a little bit, but what were some of the things that was there a moment that jumped out to you where he's like, this kid could be different because?
I think his approach to the game has really been different compared to a lot of people that I've been around when they're young. You know, a lot of times when you're young in the league, it's a lot of trial and error to see what works for you. And oftentimes you're reactionary in terms of how your process is. And it's like, oh, after I failed a couple of times, maybe I'll do X, Y, and Z a little more. Whereas Jayden, the moment he first got here, he was the first one in the building, studying as much as possible. He was very proactive in his approach to being great. And so obviously the physical tools have stood out. I've said that many times from the moment he got here. You don't get drafted number 2 overall without the physical tools. But it's really his approach that has set him apart, in my opinion, and is going to continue to set him apart for as long as he wants to play in this league.
For yourself, after the last couple of years, to have this year to be where you are now, what does it mean to you?
It means a ton, obviously, just to have this opportunity. You know, last year in Arizona, I've spoken about it, was extremely difficult, coming off the knee injury, playing for Cliff, and then he's gone after a year after him signing the long deal. And so I was out of the league for a long time. I really didn't know what the future held. I didn't know if I was going to be done after I didn't get picked up for a long time last year. I had opportunities to play, but it wasn't the right opportunity. And just when Cliff got this job and DQ got this job, was really an opportunity for me to just fall back in love with the game again, I would say, and really just enjoy the process again, and just be around people that know how to use me and allow me to be at my best. And so it's just been so much fun. It's exceeded all my expectations. Obviously, playing with a quarterback like Jayden has helped a ton, and just his humility and eagerness to grow. And I still feel like we're just scratching the surface together as quarterback-tight end relationship. Even though it's the NFC Championship, I still feel like there's so much room to grow. I'm sure Terry feels the same way, even after the year that he's had, that like all of us are just scratching the surface together. And so I think it's a testament to the people that they brought in, the coaching that they brought in, and just the enjoyment we're having with one another.
Along the same lines, was there a point where you talked about falling back in love with the game? Was there a point where you're so frustrated that you ever thought about not playing? And what has this done for you mentally on the field?
I don't think there was a point where I was like, man, I'm going to retire. This is probably it. But I do think that those thoughts of, are you still the same player, creep in when you have the year like last year where it was just extremely difficult, came back from the knee injury, probably a little too early. and then you're out of the league for 8 weeks, however long it was, and the film probably wasn't as good as it could have been, and so it's just like, are you going to be the same player when you come back? And I really just went back to my roots. I went back to training with the strength coach from college that I had trained with for a long time, but we kind of went our separate ways for a year or two, and just being able to be back with Shannon Turley and just train with him again all off season. This is kind of the longest time I had training straight since I started playing football. I pretty much had from October, from when I got hurt last year, hurt per se, from how that was dealt with, and then to the off season I had 6 months to train straight. And so for me, just to be able to have that training again at my age, it was awesome to be able to just grind and get explosive again, feel fast again. And so I just wanted the opportunity to come out here and prove that I am still the same guy. And it's been awesome to be able to go out there and make plays for this team. Obviously, I'm not playing 90% like I used to, but it's a good percentage, and I feel like I'm used effectively and trying to make an impact. And it's not the volume for me anymore. I've had all the stats that I need to have. It's just about making an impact however I can.